Good morning, my friends. My name is Gershy Schwarcz, and I'm your host on Edge. Today is Chuv Vuv Cheshvan, Tuvshim Pai Vuv, Monday, Parshas Toldus, on Edge. My name again is Gershy Schwarcz, and welcome to On Edge. For those who haven't been here yet, On Edge News is powered by Yiddish24 and provided to you by The Click. I usually give this segment in Yiddish, and until recently, we started doing this in English, which is now brought to you by The Click, the LakewoodLuach.com for all of you who know, the Heimische Info Hub for the Lakewood area and beyond. Subscribe to their WhatsApp for minyanim, eateries, and all the important local updates, clean, filtered, no Lashon Haras, and no fluff. So, before we go in, let me thank our sponsors. Now, for those of you who ever thought, make a goyrel, go into a goyrel, hagerula, like Mechon Hagerulas has been around for over 18 years already. So, sign up for the well-known Mechon Hagerulas Raffle Center. If you want to make a raffle, it's an automatic raffle machine on the phone. It's kosher, and you can make a raffle for anything. A school raffle, a camp raffle, a shul raffle, a base medrash raffle, a mikveh raffle, any private event raffle, even for yourself. Sign up with Mechon Hagerulas for only $101 a month. Now, know this. This is not just money made for organizations' profit and a company's profit. It is a pure tzedukah organization. This Yid who makes it, I know him personally. I spoke to him, and he is a wonderful person. So now, you can pay for this with massive money, because the funds already go and will continue to go towards building shuls, mikvus, and helping needy families. He has a famous place on exit 116. People go there, eat, people in need eat. Anyway, call now to sign up, 845-400-8090. Again, 845-400-8090. Okay, and say On Edge for a good discount. Maybe he'll give you a good discount if you say On Edge. A commander in the Gaza-based organization Popular Resistance Committees, it's a PRC, a 22-year-old, Wasim Mabed al-Hadi, was killed this morning near Shomer Factory. The PRC says a special Zionist force eliminated him, though other reports say it may have actually been a Palestinian militia working for the Israeli forces. Abed al-Hadi was a senior operative and took part in the border fence attacks during the March of Return, for those you remember, back in 2018, 2 years before COVID. Israel deported dozens of Gazan patients who were basically situated in East Jerusalem hospitals on 2 buses and sent them back to Gaza through the Kerem Shalom border. Israel killed a Hezbollah operative, Mohammed Ali Shouaik, in the Mansouri area of southern Lebanon. He was a local commander in charge of financial and military activity in that zone. Okay, let's continue to American news, shall we? The United States has just called Venezuela's government-run drug cartel a terrorist group. Officially, Marco Rubio proudly announced that this is a terrorist group. It's called the Cartel of the Suns and is led by none other than Venezuela's dictator, Nicolas Maduro. The US says they've been smuggling cocaine into America and Europe and working with terrorist groups. This new terror label lets the US freeze their money, arrest anyone helping them, and use counter-terror measures in order to attack them. It starts next week. Meanwhile, the American military hit a boat in the Pacific yesterday, they say, was carrying drugs. 3 people were killed. It's the 20th such a strike like we've seen since September. The American congressman, Carlos Jimenez, I have to pronounce these names, a Republican from Florida, warned that Maduro's regime might destroy its own bridges or oil refineries just to blame the United States of America or political opponents. It hasn't happened yet, but he warned that kind of move is a desperate dictatorship, a move that he might try, basically. Trump said Saudi Arabia may soon buy American stealth fighter jets. He told reporters yesterday the kingdom wants a lot of jets. A lot of jets, referring to the advanced F-35s made by Lockheed Martin. Yes, I have a family member, by the way. He used to work there, by the way. Anyway, it reminds me, I tried to make Donald Trump's accent. I couldn't do it really, but the truth is, I just released an ad recently. I make video ads, right? Part of my business, besides doing the news, I do video ads. Edgware Studios does video. If you ever want a video ad, by the way, affordable, good prices, and great ads that actually are impactful and do the message. So you can call us at 845-671-1775, and I made an ad for Aspire. And yes, I had Donald Trump acting there with AI, obviously. It wasn't my voice. I used AI for his voice, but we made a cool twist. For those of you who want to watch it, can always find it on my YouTube channel and many other places that I've put it on. So, or ask me for it. 845-671-1775. You can always visit us on onedgenews.com. Yiddish24.com. The timing lines up with an upcoming White House visit by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. That meeting is expected to include new economic and defense deals. Now, he will obviously be welcomed like a prince, with a military parade, an Oval Office, press meeting, and a black tie dinner. I wonder, will he be wearing the black tie on his hijab? Anyway, Trump also said he hopes Saudi Arabia will soon join the Abraham Accords, like he calls it, but Saudi leaders still insist they want progress towards a Palestinian state. Riots erupted outside Mexico's National Palace as thousands protested corruption and violent crime. The unrest broke out after the murder of Mayor Carlos Manzo. Crowds clashed with police, demanding the resignation of President Claudia Sheinbaum, our Jewish brethren. Over 120 people were injured during the chaos. Sheinbaum blamed the right-wing parties for stirring up the violence and using fake online accounts to inflate the protest. Yesterday, China issued a formal travel warning for its citizens against going to Japan. The warning comes after Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. Did I pronounce it right? You'll tell me afterwards. Made comments that a Chinese military attack on Taiwan could become an existential threat to Japan, suggesting Tokyo might intervene militarily. Chinese authorities also accused Japan of planning military interference in the Taiwan Strait and warned that any such move would lead to heavy price or even turn Japan into a battleground. Do you know what else would turn into a battleground? Your budgeting. Now, have you ever met Budget Yid? Well, budgetyid.com. Yes, like you hear it. Budget Yid. Just go in. It's free by the way, it's a free website. Budgeting doesn't have to be stressful. With budgetyid.com, it's simple, clean, and made for a Yid. Smart checklists, charts to track your spending from groceries to simchas. Yes. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Getting along before the wedding perfectly well because they know exactly who's paying for what and how and when? Yes, budgetyid.com. And if you've got something to sell, let's say, you're making sourdough bread, yeah, you want to sell it, from handmade shtick to full services, you can list your products, up to 3 products, for just $30 a month. Add your pictures, your logo, your story, and you're done. You're live. No website needed, no tech skills, just click, post, and share your link. Visit budgetyid.com now, today. It's free for users, but for sellers, it does cost, like I said before, very cheap. Still, you can use code ONEDGE for a Kluden Kop. Start budgeting, like I mentioned, budgeted. South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, once lost part of his arm as a child laborer, for those who know. Now he's cracking down on unsafe job sites he calls workplaces of death. He's pushing tough safety reforms, inspections, and harsher penalties for companies that ignore worker safety, though some say that it's still not as he says it is. Let's talk about Iran, shall we? Iran's military took control of a commercial oil ship in international waters on Friday. The ship, called the MV Talara, was sailing under the Marshall Islands flag when Iran's Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, boarded it by helicopter and forced it into Iranian waters. Iran claims the ship was carrying illegal cargo and says the move was to protect their national interests. But U.S. Central Command CENTCOM, called the act a clear violation of international law since the ship was taken in neutral waters. The Strait of Hormuz, we all know that Iran threatened many times to close it or to sabotage it during the war of the 12-day war, a narrow sea route where 20% of the world's oil passes through there. Incidents like this raise tensions and could affect global trade and fuel prices. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that the country is no longer enriching uranium at any of its nuclear facilities. He claimed that the sites are now under the full IAEA supervision, and there's no secret enrichment happening anywhere. Now, we all know what that means when he says it. Iran, why say it if it's... Anyway, Iran is on edge of a major disaster, and its water reserves have dropped below 10% across the country. More than 15 provinces have had zero rainfall, and major dams are running dry, although you've had reports of major flooding in certain areas of Iran, but that hasn't helped the water situation. And they called for a major Yom Tifla, as thousands are gathering today in the streets to call for Allah's help to help them with rainfall. Well, may Hashem help them, because there are many Jews live there, by the way, for those of you who don't know. The situation is so severe that officials are now warning parts of Tehran may need to be evacuated if rain doesn't fall soon. This is the 6th year, they haven't said Masha V'liach with Kavuna enough. This is the 6th year of a drought in Iran, and it's being made worse by poor water management and outdated infrastructure. Farmers, cities, and power stations are all being hit, with no relief in sight. Experts say that this could become one of the worst environmental crises Iran has ever faced. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already released many video messages to the Iranian people, Come, stand up against your regime, and we will help you with our world-class innovations of how to recycle water, ocean water, into drinking water. A senior officer in Iran's Air Force made a bold public statement calling for protests against the government. Standing next to Iran's old national flag, the officer urged citizens and even soldiers to join a 1 million-man march on Sunday, yesterday. I wonder what happened. He warned, well, they say that the protests happened, but they were, obviously, we all know the regime. He warned security forces not to harm protesters, saying those who do will be seen as traitors. His message was clear. The people must come first, not the ruling regime under the Ayatollah Ali Khomeini. He's in trouble, by the way. This is one of the rare times a high-ranking officer made inside Iran, in the IRGC, has spoken openly against the leaders. It may be a sign that support for the regime is starting to crack from within. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Motzei Shabbos. The call was initiated by Putin himself and continues a series of recent conversations between the two leaders. Very, very mysterious. What are they talking about? The talks have focused on regional issues, as we all know. That's what they told us, though no further details were released, obviously. They've been talking forever. ICE agents launched in America a major operation in Charlotte this weekend. Dozens of arrests were made as part of President Trump's renewed national push to deport illegal immigrants. Trump has dropped tariffs on over 200 food imports. Now that's good news, as he's trying to help reduce grocery costs. For the first time, President Donald J. Trump is admitting that tariffs might have raised costs in groceries. This includes products like ground beef, coffee beans, bananas, tomatoes, and oranges, many of which aren't produced in large quantities in the Americas, in the United States. Trump also announced new trade deals with several Latin America countries to boost food imports and help lower prices at the grocery store. Let's talk about Protobite. Many apps, many things to run. Your head is all confused. Loads of subscriptions. There's no point. Just call Protobite at 347-354-1237. Get yourself one system for all, including your website. 347-354-1237, that's Protobite. President Donald J. Trump has moved a huge amount of personal money into bonds over the past 2 months. Financial disclosures show he made over 175 transactions between late August and early October, buying at least $82 million in bonds, possibly as much as $337 million. Most of what went into municipal bonds, now, which are used by states, counties, and schools districts to fund local projects. He also invested in corporate bonds from sectors that gained during his administration, like finance and tech. As a sitting president, might you all ask, Trump is legally allowed to invest in his personal funds, and there is no requirement for a sitting president to let his, basically, bonds and investments sit. So he's allowed, and also he doesn't have to use blind trust. Still, some critics are raising concerns about possible conflicts of interest if policy decisions line up with personal investments. Supporters point out that these are standard legal investments, and no wrongdoing has been proven. Well, if you do want to prove any wrongdoing, well, look at Nancy Pelosi's. YS Capital Group, we all know, is a company that provides you loans when you want to invest. So call them at 718-831-2168. No closing costs, no doc loans. You can ask them yourself. 718-831-2168. That's YS Capital Group. Over 6,500 Chabad Shluchim came together yesterday. It was a major event outside 770 Eastern Park Way. In Crown Heights, the Rebbe's Shul. In Crown Heights, they stood shoulder to shoulder for the annual Kinus HaShluchim group photo, a powerful moment of achdus and pride. Shluchim came from 100 countries, from big cities and far-out corners of the world, all representing the Rebbe's shlichus and the ever-growing light of Chabad. This picture, taken every year, is one of the largest gatherings of Rabbonim and Askonim anywhere in the world. It's part of the Kinus Shluchim weekend, filled with chizuk verbringen and ideas to strengthen the Yiddishkeit in every corner of the globe. President Donald J. Trump said he recently had an MRI and called the results outstanding. When asked if it was his brain, he joked, "I have no idea what they analyzed, but whatever they analyzed it well. And they said, I had as good as a result as they've ever seen." The line got laughs, but it also raised some questions since Trump hasn't shared much about his health during his campaign. For those who remember, at age 79, when he ran for president for the second time, well, according to him, the third time, when aiming for a second term, any medical tests gets attention, especially as voters watch both Biden and Trump closely on stamina and clarity. But we all saw the debate. Anyway, stamina and clarity. Trump hasn't said what the MRI was for, but insists he feels great and is in top shape. Never seen before. Anyway, in other words, today's caption should be, MRI says results are the best they've ever seen. Now, let's talk about the best we've ever seen. New York Mayor Eric Adams, in the last days in term, is a Geherige Tzioni. Now, you'll see why. He's in the Medina Yisrael now, visiting Israel for this week for a multi-day visit. He came to the Kosher and spent time in personal reflection, calling it a powerful moment. Standing at the wall, Adams said, I want to have the title that's more important than anything. I'm your brother. Achicha onoichi. In the guest book he wrote, God is real, life has shown us this. Let the prayers from this wall become the reality of life. Mayor Adams 2025. Now in his final months of office, Adams has often expressed strong support for the Jewish community and speaks openly about his emunah and spiritual outlook. Yeah. V'yaydi. Remember V'yaydi? The full Mashiach comes, it says all the nations will start recognizing Hashem. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the GOP congresswoman from Northwest Georgia, says she is facing serious safety threats after President Donald J. Trump withdrew his endorsement and said he'll back a challenger. She says the fight happened because she openly pushed to release more federal cases, the scandal files from the Epstein case, against Donald J. Trump. Greene is expected to run for re-election for her House seat in 2026. Now the midterms. In other news, in major news, the Satmar Rebbe of Kiryas Yoel was seen davening Shachris en route to Athens, Greece. Well, he's in Greece now, spending the day there, before continuing to Eretz Yisrael, to Artsania Gdosha, where he will help mechazik the Moistus and the Kehillah in Eretz Yisrael, and also he will be leading a historic Shabbos in Meron, with thousands of Chassidim expected to attend, as he often does. I've been there once, actually. It's amazing there. The whole Meron gets full. Is Bekitza. Thousands of Chassidim come to join him. Meanwhile, in New York, a vile anti-Semitic message was spray-painted on a Brooklyn sidewalk late Friday, Shabbos. The graffiti sparked condemnation from city officials, including newly elected Mayor Zohran Mamdani, as you all guessed. His election earlier this month raised concerns amongst Jewish leaders about the city's direction, especially with anti-Semitism on the rise. Mamdani has now publicly denounced the hate incident, calling for unity and safety for all communities. In other news, he does not plan to basically fire the Jewish commissioner, Jessica Tisch, from the NYPD. He plans to hold her in a job, just saying. Anyway, sad news. Yesterday, in my neighborhood, a younger man, 29-year-old father of 5, was tragically killed, while driving to Kollel Sunday morning, when a tree suddenly fell onto his car, lost control while he was driving to Kollel, and he never died. The Hatzalah, amazing first aid responders, responded very, very fast to the scene, but sadly, his neshama left way before they managed to save him. His name was Rabbi Yisrael Maya Freeman. He's a resident of Borough Park, and he lives here in the Chestnut Ridge area. Left his wife and 5 kids, and yes, so anyway, friends describe him as a devoted husband, father, and Ben Torah. He leaves behind a young family and a broken-hearted community. Klal Yisrael is celebrating this incredible Chesed Pidyon Shvim as President Donald J. Trump has pardoned, along with other January 6s, Rabbi Gershy Schwarcz of Monsey, who was serving a 3-year sentence. After 8 months sitting in prison, he's now free, Baruch Hashem. His family and community welcomed the news with joy, calling it a true act of Matir Asurim. Baruch Matir Asirim. A miracle took place yesterday in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. After a cheder dismissal, a bus dropped off children near the curb. One boy stepped out right in front of the nose of the bus. The driver started pulling away, and he managed with incredible timing and divine protection. The child escaped without harm. Those who witnessed it say it looked like a near miss, and they are calling it an open nest, an open miracle. Baruch Hashem, he's alive and well, but this does not mean that we should trust even a sitting bus. Sometimes we see the sitting bus, the whole street stops, and we all think it's okay, and we continue walking, but no, it's actually dangerous. You should not take it for granted. Dozens were killed in a cobalt mine collapse, which happened in Kawama in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a rare earth metal, cobalt. And at least 32 people died. People ran when they saw it, and they didn't manage to run away fast enough because, as you see, 32 people died when a makeshift bridge collapsed at the copper cobalt mine in southeastern DRC on Shabbos. Officials say many were artisanal miners. Artisanal miners. The bridge gave way after panic and overcrowding. and the toll could rise as searches continue. Anyway, let's end with an easy story. An Arab social media influencer posted a video showing a group of Haredi children on a flight from New York to Tel Aviv, covering their in-seat entertainment screens with pillows. The caption claimed, "Jewish children are covering the screens because of the Sabbath, because of Shabbos. It is forbidden to use electronical devices." Guys, I'm Masbel Fagoidem Tam. Anyway, go explain Shmiras Hanayim to a Gentile, Amos. The point is that we have to explain it. Sometimes they don't understand it. Before we go to our history on Edge, let's thank our sponsors, Shawama Delights, Spring Valley Marketplace. Yesterday I had here the delight and honor to have Yaakov Weber, the singer, the Batchen, and he told me what an amazing program it is, the On Edge. He listens to the Yiddish one and told me that he loves it, and he only knows Shawama Delight. He asked me, where can I go to eat? Wait, I know Shawama Delight, because he always remembers. Yes, so just saying his feedback was amazing, and it was very nice to hear feedback. So for those of you who have any feedback from our show, please, I know it's the first time in English, so you might have not, I'm used to doing this already for a very long time in Yiddish, with lots of other different type, well, maybe you as well, but lots of viewers on the Yiddish one, close to 50 to 60,000 people a day, so Baruch Hashem for that. Anyway, for those of you who want to sponsor, you can call us on 845-671-1775, and you can always visit onedgenews.com, or you could also contact The Click, and they will refer you to us. Shawama Delight, so you know where it is. Bingo, okay? Arrive Express. You want to take a taxi there, 845-622-1111. It is the taxi of the upstate region of New York, okay? So Arrive Express, 845-254-1111. This is in Monroe. Today in history, on Chovav Cheshvan, 2 dark chapters stand out. I don't want to end with a bad tone, but it is a day that we should remember. In 1478, the Spanish Inquisition began. That year was high. Aluvim, Reich Pai Lamed. And on the same day, Chovav Cheshvan, Tufshin Gimel, centuries later, the Nazis murdered 12 to 17,000 Jews in Minsk. Hashem Yinkem Dumam. And let's finish with a good note, but there's one powerful note in the number 26, Chovav, Gematria of the Eibish Zuman. Hashem's name, a reminder that even in the hardest of days, in our history, our identity and faith never disappear. And with that, my friends, we will see you tomorrow. Stay informed and stay on edge. And have betuchen and amina.
Halt mit der wichtigen Eis von Tag jeden Tag on Edge. Ziegestellt sie durch Yiddish24, die größte heimische Kosher-Content-Plattform auf dem Webseite oder auf dem App. Ob hat es nur von dem Programm, bitte lasst mich wissen. Sie bestellen Advertisement on Edge, geht darauf auf onedgenews.com oder e-mailt mich auf onedgenews@gmail.com oder calls 845-671-1775. In Nord bis Sirius